Welcome back. I am Tifa. You know that already. I hope you do. And here I am here again on the one of one series that is titled Identity. This one is called Identity. What defines you? I was coming back from church today. I just alighted from the keke. That's like a public vehicle that is a tricycle. You know a tricycle, right? And I realized that everybody I'm seeing is human. And I was thinking to myself in my head while I was inside the keke that I'm kind of grateful. Like I'm not even kinda. I'm grateful that God gave me a chance. That God gave me bread because of the fulfillment that comes with living from a place of purpose as a born again Christian. As a Christian, living from a place of purpose that you are feeling fulfilled by the life you're living. You can tell that something is right, even if other things seem wrong. Things are not working. Like not everything is working according to your plan, to my plan. So it's like but then I looked at everybody outside the vehicle and I'm like, everybody here is a human being. Like I can see humans moving. And I looked at the floor, I looked at the floor and I could see dust. I could see the sand and I was like, the only difference between us and these things is because of God's grace. And I was like, I'm grateful. Because I'm like, imagine you putting a contrast between you can even hold sand. That's how crazy it is. You can hold sand. You are a sand that can hold sand. And contrast that you could have been the sand. But God gave you breath. I mean, some people will beg to differ that they prefer to just remain silent because of the troubles of the earth. But if you know God, if you truly know God, if you are, because, yeah, if you truly know God, you wouldn't say that because you will be so happy to know God. You will be so, grateful. We will be so grateful to know God at the end of the day. So, yes, now we're talking about identity. Identity is about who we are, what defines us. I was talking to my dad, God, in the room. Okay, I was just roaming about, just thinking, talking, conversing with him. And then I'm like, at the end of the day, people die. I looked at my room. My bed is on the floor, my mattress. I don't have a bed stand. And I was like, this doesn't define me. And in that realization, I've been realizing it actually, but I was just conversing. And I'm like, my situation, I looked through this doesn't define me. My room doesn't define me. This has nothing to do with who I am. Yes, it's a situation that is a reality, but it has nothing to do with who I am, like the truest me. And I looked, I'm like, yes, I can be suffering, but it ends. Whether it ends in riches or in debt, it still ends. So at the end of the day, who am I? I am an image of God. I am God's child. Speaking of God's child, I actually had a revelation, but I don't want to digress. So maybe I'll talk about that later in another video outside of this series. I am God's child. I am a born again Christian. I gave my life to Christ. I received the life that Christ gave to me. I am born again. I am not the way I used to be spiritually in my soul. It is Christ that defines me. It is God, God that defines me. Because we die. Are you getting it? We die. We die. My mom lost a very close friend. And I was just thinking about how life would feel so unfair to them. And I saw a video on Instagram about a married couple celebrating their 90th anniversary and they did not have a seat. And I'm just like, bro, you can be complaining that you are poor, that things are not going well for you financially. At least those are the things that you can think that you can control. The people that can't give birth can't control things like that. And this links back to us knowing God because it made me realize that all these problems show us that those are not the goal. you know, giving birth, you know, having parents or not having like having people around you, like those things are gifts from God. Please don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that that is not the goal. The goal is God. And that is why I see. That's why I said in the beginning in my trailer that I'm a messenger. Okay. That's why I believe that. I feel. mm, That's why, I think that things that happen to us is to kind of remind us that at the end of the day, that is not the goal. And I know that that's a very harsh thing to say at the end of the day because, love, because of the emotion, because of the reality of a human being being lost. Sometimes if it's in the case of death or recall or whatever, losing something, losing your phone, losing something that you really cherish, losing your apartment, and being left alone. And that reminds me of two people in the Bible, Abraham and Job. Abraham is known as father of faith, but he's also the man that had everything but a child, and he had a relationship with God still. If you think about this in reality, put yourself in the real life shoes of it. You have probably one thing that you were trusting God for that you do not have. But now that reminds me that the sufficiency of Abraham did not come from him having Isaac. I want to believe so. That it came from him having a relationship with God, him being God's friend. I think it was God that was his all in all. And I think it should be our all in all too. So that did not define him. Let me go to Job. Job lost everything that he could have used to define himself. I am a father, I own cattle, I own this, I own that, you know, I have children, I have a daughter, I have this, I have a house, whatever. Bro, Job lost everything and God was still God for him. And it was still God at the end of the day. It reminds me that God is the God. Like God is the goal, man. And that did not change who Job was. Him losing everything did not change who Job was. Abraham not having a child did not change him from being being a friend of God. He had imagine that let me not even link it to the fact that he still gave birth to the Isaac, and he was willing to kill the Isaac. Because his identity as a father wasn't linked. He was not thinking of father. Bro wasn't permit me. Bro wasn't thinking of father. Because if he was thinking of Abiamo more than father, he wouldn't have done that. So God was his priority. So yes, I want us, me, yeah, actually, you and I, to not attach our identity to anything. Truth is, our identity should not be about our failures, what we're not getting right. It shouldn't be about our success, what we are getting right. Oh, I gave birth to my child or my children, immediately I gave birth, immediately I got married. But that doesn't make me different from you, who is a Christian as well, that gave birth 10 years after marriage. That's not what defines you. It's not your failure that defines you. It's not your success that defines you. It's not your friendship that defines you. Those things are good. Talking about success, friendship, beautiful things. But the goal is God. God is the sufficiency. God is our all in all. God is the God. God is like our focus. Like God should be that identity. God should be the point. Because if we attach our identity to any other thing, it will collapse. Because those things are earthly things. They are things that are not, they can't define us. They are creations as well. So, I hope today you see yourself as more than just somebody that needs to survive. Live as somebody that needs to live, that lives for Christ. Like once you identify that side of you not living for validation or things to make sense in quotes and living from I'm living for God. I'm all for God. Like God is my God. Like God is my reason, my why, my end, my goal, my everything. Imagine if you had a full generation of people that are just like God centered. So that is the point, guys. God is the point. God is our identity. God is the one that defines who we are. And it's the purpose that He gives us that makes sense. That makes living make sense at the end of the day. Because if we not start living from our purpose, then our purpose begins to now be like if you're making money, it's not the money that you're making that is defining you. It's just that at the end of the day, I'm not even making the money for myself. I'm making it for God. But I think we'll get to that in episode 3. So yeah, I'll see you there. And I hope you're clicking the button right now to watch episode 3. Let's get into it.